A deepening crisis in Burundi. It's our first story this Wednesday on CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azus. Let's get started. Burundi is a tiny nation in Central Africa. It's a little smaller than the U.S. state of Maryland. Burundi's population, about 10.4 million. It has an election coming up in June, and President Pierre Nkurunziza is running for a controversial third term. Controversial because he's served the two-term limit. But he wasn't elected by the Burundian people for his first term. He was elected by parliament. So he argues he should be allowed to run again. A Burundian court agrees with him. Many protesters do not. There was a recent military coup that failed. Because the nation came out of civil war as recently as 2003, many Burundians fear another one could be ahead.
These refugees on board the MV Liemba are the lucky ones. They've managed to escape this incredibly overcrowded peninsula, which is a small fishing community essentially called Kagunga. And that is where as many as 50,000 over the last few weeks Burundian refugees have been bottlenecked trying to escape. The only way out has been across the water on this, which is an old World War I gunship. And you can see up here on deck some of those refugees, mostly women and children. The vast majority of refugees who have fled Burundi for Tanzania are women and children. The ones who are brought onto the boat are those who are particularly weak. Downstairs there are drips attached to the ceilings of the deck to rehydrate those who are suffering from the symptoms of cholera, and we've had it confirmed by doctors from the UNHCR that they have suffered 14 deaths so far from cholera. Now, from here, from Kagunga, they will be transported to the stadium in a village called Kigoma, and from there on to Tanzania's largest refugee center, Nyarugusu. Tanzania has a history of accommodating Burundian refugees, but this influx is huge, 70,000 plus into Tanzania, and also tens of thousands into the DRC and into Rwanda also, most of them saying that they don't want to wait until their country degenerates into civil war, and that if the president runs for a third term, they see no hope for peace. Diana Magne, CNN, on Lake Tanganyika, Tanzania.
From yesterday's transcript page at cnnstudentnews.com, 3 of the schools present for the roll call. Coal Ridge Middle School is in Firestone, Colorado. Its mascot is Dynamite, which is kind of the bomb. Next to Stevens Point, it's in central Wisconsin, and it's the home of the Fernandez Center for Alternative Learning. And things are about to get wild with the Wildcats in Leakesville, Mississippi. Hello to everyone watching at Greene County High School. This is something a lot of you aren't going to want to hear, but it seems that schools that ban students from having smartphones have better test scores, in England anyway. A study by the London School of Economics examined policies at dozens of English schools. It found that when they banned smartphones, their test scores went up by more than 6%. In schools with underachieving students, the scores went up by 14%. 2 of the study's authors say this doesn't mean phones and other technology can't be used to improve learning, but that they did have drawbacks, including the distractions of gaming, texting, and social media. You know this is a controversial subject. Many teachers complain about disruptions. Many parents want their students to have phones so they can reach them. Dean Kamen is an American engineer. He's probably best known for inventing the Segway, though he has a number of medical inventions on his resume. He also founded a championship event for students. The most recent one was in late April. It's part of Kamen's push to inspire students to think less about becoming sports stars and more about being science and technology stars.
Out of the way, out of the way.
It's described as the sport of the mind, where man and machine converge.
I started first because I think there's a real need to change kids' attitudes about science and technology.
First, for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. Dean Kamen started the mentor-based program 25 years ago when he noticed a trend in American kids losing interest in science and technology.
They all think this is an education crisis, and I looked at it and said, I don't think so. I think it's a culture crisis. If we can take the important aspects of science, technology, engineering, math, and put them in the context of a sport.
As we watch the Blue Alliance machine
Celebrate science and technology and use sports as a way to change the culture.
His concept is working.
Walking onto this field feels more like I'm going to a concert or a sporting event. This really is the Super Bowl of robotics.
Who am I? I'm the tiger!
We think of ourselves as professional athletes. Yeah, we're not running around, but we're competing with all our hearts.
Meet Base God Trap Love, built by the Robo Tigers, a robotics team out of Queens, New York.
When you see it on the field, it's like, did I really create that? It's all inspiring to see something that you worked so hard on actually moving and like doing stuff on the field.
So that's the guts of the operation.
Yes, that is our brain.
Each team is given 6 weeks to build their robots. During build season, they work endless hours, coding, building prototypes, developing strategy, and it's all put to test in regional competitions. After winning the New York City regionals, the Robo Tigers made it here, the Robotics Championship in St. Louis, Missouri. And this is their competition. Meet High Stakes, built by the High Rollers out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
I know we're going to do good. I know we're going to put up as much as we can, but it just isn't enough.
When we caught up with the two teams in St. Louis, the High Rollers were ranked #1 in their group.
It's extremely competitive.
I spent hours, I got cuts and bruises, I bled over this robot.
This is where we come to learn and how to expand our team.
The most exciting times in my life have been at competitions like these.
This competition is a microcosm of the real world. These kids are given too little time, too little resources. They're on too complex a team. They don't know what their competitors are up to, and yet in a very short time, they got to deliver a solution to a problem. That's the real world.
Talk to each other.
It's not just building a robot. You get communication skills by talking to other teams. You learn strategies. You learn more about life and how to go about it.
The High Rollers went home as championship finalists. And although the Robo Tigers didn't take home a physical award, Dean says there are no losers here.
Not every kid who's here can leave a champion. So what about the kids that don't win this competition? What's their takeaway?
I would tell you, not every robot's going to win, but every kid's already a winner. Here, every kid on every team can turn pro.
What are you doing after this competition? You're a senior now. Are you going to study engineering?
I am. Right now, I'm set up to study computer engineering. And I've gotten, scholarship offers from colleges everywhere.
In fact, most of the kids we spoke to are planning a career in engineering as a result of their first experience.
So if you hadn't discovered the world of robotics and engineering, what do you think you'd be doing?
I honestly don't know.
It's changed your life.
Yeah. I know what I want to do now. It's clear to me.
I think most of the kids here in a year or two will not remember which robot won. They will not care which robot lost. They leave here with a whole new perspective on the world.
There's a saying, you have to learn to crawl before you can walk, but not if you're a moose. A mama moose recently gave birth to 2 calves near a roadside in Alaska. That allowed a photojournalist to get close enough to capture the baby's first steps. One was a little quicker to its feet than the other, which had a couple face plants at first, but eventually it got up on its own 4 legs and they scampered off into the woods as a new family. Of course, it takes them a little while to build up the moosels, but they don't get heard doing it, and eventually they figure out the antler to hoofing it, my dear. That puts a muzzle on our show for today. We hope you found it amusing, and we'll moosey on back here tomorrow. I'm Carla Moose for CNN Student Moose.